Hey, it's Phil from PT Precision here again. I know I've got one video, I think, or more on these Ford Transits. My video wasn't very popular because I didn't tell everyone how I fixed that Transit, and this is another example of why I sort of didn't say how I fixed it, because there's not always one issue with these Transits. This Transit came in. It's hard to start cold, and then once it was driven, and it would not start again hot. Fucking forget it. The guy was using Aerostart and all sorts of things to try to get it started when it was hot. Anyway, he'd seen that video that I put on, and he brought it in. He'd been back to Ford 4 or 5 times and they couldn't fix it. Anyway, there's certain things on these that are a pretty bad giveaway. Like this, the fuel filter, they get air leaks in them. We put our own lines in there. This thing's finished, right? We've fixed it, but it's been here for a couple of weeks. The guy's not in too much of a hurry, so we've been playing with it. Enormous amount of issues. We knew the fuel pressure wasn't getting to target while cranking. It would start cold, but it'd take 3 attempts to start it, and it'd run down the road, and it felt quite good. It was a little bit knocky and stuff, but it was all right. It was manageable. But you turn it off, it would not start. Like, I had to leave it. I had to walk home once. I went to get morning tea with it, and I couldn't get back. So we had a lot of test equipment on it. Simple things were we did a suction control valve and a pressure relief valve on the back of the pump, on the back of the fuel rail. So it's 2.4 common rail. That made it better to start cold, but still didn't fix it when it was hot. Check the batteries, because batteries on these can be a problem. It's a dual battery system in this one. It had 2 different batteries in it. One battery was okay, and the other battery was not real great. So, and I didn't like the way that it was cranking. So I said, fucking, we changed the batteries out, right? So changed the batteries out to good, solid batteries. That still did not fix the issue, and the cranking of it wasn't great. It wasn't good. It wasn't that great, but it's still cranking over all right, you'd think. So these, they play up electrically. They play up ignition switches, crank angle sensors. You name it, you can do all sorts of things with these to try and get this. So my next plan of attack was injectors out, to flow the injectors. Now I flowed the injectors. One of them was really bad. So this one here was leaking off really bad, and I went, fuck, I got it. This is the jackpot, right? So this is the thing causing. We did do a leak off test on it as well. Like, we've just fucking spending hours, right? Hours. That's what you got to do when you're diagnosing. So we'd done the leak off test. There was no leak off, but when I ran it on the machine, I ran it, I tested it. This one was leaking off through the whole range. So I went, this is it. This is the first one I tested. I went, that's going to be it. But the other 3 tested out perfectly fine. And I was testing that hot because I had to get them out of the car hot. When it cooled down, it got a bit better, but because I tested them mostly 3-4 times. Anyway, so that was that, and then I was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna put something bad back in, so I just replaced one injector. Generally, when we're doing all 4 injectors. I'm not gonna muck around. They're like spark plugs. That one's worn, they're all gonna be worn. But we're at a little bit of money and a bit of time on this thing now. But still persevering. I went, right, we're going to do that injector, we're going to do the starter motor. I spoke to the bloke about the starter motor. He said he had put a new starter motor in it, but fuck, they don't look too new to me. And that's what I was looking at. So anyway, put a new starter motor in it, bled the system up, and then fired the system. And it was hard to get started from cold. And once it started, and we switched it off, and then it didn't restart, and then we worked through it, we got it started again, and then we've done a full system relearn. So reinitiated the injectors, and then did a relearn on the pump, and the motor completely changed tune, and the knocking sort of went away, and it sounded sweet. And now it starts up beautifully. Yeah, so there's a combination of so many different things here that are causing issues to cause a big issue. Yeah, so now I mean it starts. I mean, well, is that a gear?
I don't know.
And that's spot on. This is a perfect. Like that. There's no way that that would start. No. That'd be gone. Yeah, I can tell you now. You would not. That's hot. That would not restart. Yeah. So these. I don't mind these Transit. Yes, I think they're okay. They've got issues, but it's when it's quite a few complicated issues it becomes a headache. If you keep on top of them, I think they're okay. So anyway, I'm not really giving you bloody how I fixed it because there's a few things. If you want to go throwing all those things into it, that's fine. But I only replace what I see as an issue. And on this car, it's been quite a few things there that I know have been problematic, and I've worked through them, and it's got a little bit better, but hasn't fixed it. We continue to go. We talk to the customer. This is where we're at. We keep going. We want to do these, and these injectors they can seize in, right? So number 2 was seized in, but I managed to work on it, and I got it off. We have all the pulling equipment here to pull these injectors out. You know, so we've got all the Sykes and Prevalent hydraulic pulling equipment, 12 tonne of pressure if I want it, but luckily I don't have to use it. But another Transit, but fuck, it's good. It's solved and it's running like a room. Yeah? 2011 2.4 VM Transit. Beautiful.